Well, for an update on the protests here in Gauteng, let's now cross live to our reporter Maageketla Mohlabe, who's in Malvern, for an update. Maageketla, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Unlike the scenes we've just seen in Durban, there's a strong Metro Police presence with you.
Yeah, Peter, good evening to you. In fact, I'm talking to you at about 16 past curfew time, and I can tell you that arrests have been made, and I'm sure you saw that in the picture there in the background. But I can tell you that this is Julie Street. This is where this protest, the violent protest, started on Saturday, where we saw shops being looted, where we saw police trying to contain the situation, but of course outnumbered. And I can tell you that I think on Sunday, when we were downtown Johannesburg with the Metro Police who were trying to contain the situation, it was this period of curfew time that seemed to actually to have come to their rescue as streets started to clear up, and that's when I think police started to breathe a sigh of relief to say at least we can now control the situation. But before we arrived here, Peter, we were on the East End in Ekurhuleni. We started trying to see the developments at Chris Hani Mall. You'd recall that that's one of the malls that was looted, vandalized, and we actually saw some trucks carrying the dismantled ATMs and some of the rubbles, ferrying it away from that mall. We also saw some of the SANDF members as well as police, including community members who you would probably have seen some of them forming human chain to actually say that we will protect the little that's left at this stage. We then moved again to Gauteng, not far from Chris Hani Mall, where we found one of the shopping complexes, we found some of the community members making fire on street corners, and they've actually also blockaded the roads, saying that this is the only complex that's left that we are going to actually protect throughout the night. They are going to be spending the night at that shopping complex. Letsoho Mall, we were there on Monday. We saw running battles between police and protesters. One body also found along the road next to that mall. We found some of the employees who told us that they don't know where they are going to be getting bread for their families, where they are going to actually be buying food for their families, because many of those shops are now looted and they do not have anywhere else to buy food for their families.
So a real human tragedy that's playing out across the province at this time. I see these police vehicles, Metro Police vehicles, busy at this time. As you said, a number of arrests have been made. What sort of things have these people been picked up for? Is it curfew, or did they have goods in their cars that they shouldn't have had?
Yeah, I mean, it's curfew time, Peter. If you do not have permit to be out in the streets this time of the night, then you are likely to be put behind some of these vans. As you can see, one of the motorists, I don't know what they're trying to do with him now. He was actually being pulled out of the back of that van. As you can see, some of the police officers are now actually going with him to his car, and that's what actually police officers or Metro police officers who are here have been asking, to say, do you have a permit? Anyone who's been stopped at Julie Street is asked that question. Failure to produce permit, then will actually land you in the back of that van. And we've actually seen a couple of people being arrested because they are out in the street at curfew time.
There are other scenes across the province now where clean-up operations have started, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, at Chris Hani Mall in Vosloorus, that's where we saw earlier on some of the residents actually cleaning up, making sure that perhaps, just maybe, the mall will actually be back to operation anytime soon. Hopefully over the weekend, but you would actually recall that we had some reports that the only time when these malls or even some of these shopping complexes would be able to come back to operation is if all the damage has been assessed, and of course insurance companies having played their role in making sure that they are able to meet these shopping complexes and malls halfway when it comes to the financial strain that they are currently facing. I mean, millions have now gone up in smoke, Peter. And I can actually even give one example about Tembisa Plaza. We were in Tembisa yesterday. We saw some of the people forming human chain, protecting the little that's left at this stage. I was told by the city of Ekurhuleni officials yesterday that Tembisa Plaza hires about 800 people. Those people are now jobless. It's a mall that actually contributes to about 2.5 million rand in services to the city of Ekurhuleni. Now, this month, they are not going to be able to actually pay those services. So that just tells you the extent of the damage that actually Ekurhuleni is facing at this stage. I've only counted Tembisa Plaza. Then just imagine about other shopping complexes as well as other malls in the area in terms of the losses that they might have actually incurred at this stage. But we understand that quantity surveyors as well will be actually boots on the ground to actually assess the damage, and perhaps over the weekend we will know the extent damage that's been caused during this vandalism and looting.
Have you been getting a sense of the presence of soldiers on the streets?
Yeah, we saw at some of the malls on the East End, we actually saw some of the SANDF members alongside police officers as well. Taxi associations as well. They are actually saying that they are going to keep working together with law enforcement agencies to make sure that this violence that we've seen over the weekend or since the weekend comes to an end. And yes, it might be too little too late, Peter, but the little that's left on the ground, the little shelf that's still standing needs to keep standing. Well, it might not be able to actually, support all the community or community members in terms of the food security issues that we've seen ever since the looting started. But they feel that the little spaza shop that's in those areas, be it in Tembisa, be it in Katlehongni, it needs to still stand, because they are not going to actually fold their arms watching this violence actually at play.
All right, Maageketla, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thanks very much indeed for that update from Jules Street, a famous street in Johannesburg, once notorious for selling cars that perhaps weren't always 100%, but times have changed. Thank you very much indeed.